From 8-bit breath attacks to 16-bit scales, hoarding 64-bit treasure in 3D dungeons, dragons thrive in video games much as they have in the mystique and mystery of myth and legend. Iconic is the image of a steeled hero brandishing broadsword and buckler against a torrential terror of all-encompassing and devouring flame. Their armor is like tenfold shields, their teeth are swords, their claws spears, the shock of their tail a thunderbolt, their wings a hurricane, and their breath death. You're watching Rayl Deal Games, and today I'm talking about dragons in video games and how they have changed mechanically over the course of video game history. In mostly chronological order, let's take a look at the wonderful wyverns of yore and how they've evolved into the dynamic dragons of today. I make new gaming videos every Wednesday and Friday, and if you like the video today, you may like my other and future work. Obviously, I won't be looking at every single instance of dragons in gaming, but I have selected at least one example for every decade dragons exist in the medium. Dragons are my favorite mythical monster, and the enduring nature of these creatures speaks to the way they've been able to capture our collective imaginations. As such, they've been in video games essentially ever since fantasy became present in the medium. The first tarragon tyrant we're going to look at today is the Gleeok in the original The Legend of Zelda from 1986. This is not the first gaming dragon, however, it is the first one I can think of that is a major interactable boss fight. This four-headed Gleekan Ghidorah, more god than Zilla, is an incredible challenge, especially considering the limited movement present in the original Zelda. Each of this Saurian's heads attacks the player from the grave, their inspirited hate surviving the barrier of death, desecrating the day with their mere existence. Much like the Hydra of Greek myth, it's the player's labor to sever each head, with the challenge increasing drastically with each dragon downed. Mechanically, this fight demonstrates the dangerous nature of dragons. Each part of the whole is death on two wings, flame flinging in a conflagrated congregation, flummoxing the player as they weave fate between flickering fumes of fire. The Gleeok in Zelda sets the tone for dragons in gaming by placing them in the position of powerful boss, of the rewarding challenge awaiting them at the end of a dungeon or dynamic section of gameplay. However, the duality of dragons is that they are not restricted to a position of villainry, as in the 90s players would get to play as the purple dragon, Spyro, in a beloved trilogy of platformers. There's a storybook quality to the dragon worlds in Spyro, adding a whimsical fantasy quality to these games that better befits the dragon being under the player's command. Mechanically, Spyro exhibits a toned-down dragon moveset, with his death-dealing capabilities being restricted to his breath weapon and charging horns. Logistically, this makes sense as he is a child dragon, so it wouldn't make sense for the player to be able to control each wing, claw, the tail, raw mass, and mouth as individual weapons of mass destruction. Simplicity is core to Spyro's thesis, as it is designed to be enjoyed by gamers of the lowest possible skill. Within the context of Spyro's world, dragons are the most powerful, and the player is able to experience that with the way they destroy all of Spyro's enemies with ease. Fear is core to a dragon's imminence, and the ways in which early enemies run and cower in fear of Spyro's flame demonstrates this draconic dominance. In this way, Spyro is interestingly enough one of the few games where dragons are actively feared in a way that is represented in the raw game design. In the early 2000s, dragons would more commonly become an inflamed framework upon which whole games were crafted. 2001's Dragon Rage, the Draken duology from 1999 and 2001, and 2002's Reign of Fire all feature dragon flight mechanics, showing off this aspect of dragon biology far better than Dragon Spirit and other 80s shmups could represent. Taking a foundation established in Panzer Dragoon, these three games add freedom to the equation, which was the missing element in that Sega rail shooter classic. Bringing brimstone from above, Drakon does a great job at representing the aerial superiority of these winged serpents. Arok is essentially a mount in the game, allowing the player to explore places they couldn't before while also being able to deal damage from above. But the thing Arok can't do is sweep down to grasp juicy morsels within his claws. Sneaking a meal from winged whimsy is what Dragon Rage adds to the mechanical mix of dragon design. This game is played entirely from a dragon's perspective, with the world beneath being a canvas to paint with with the kaleidoscopic color of divine conflagration. The player can feed by picking up livestock or orcs from the countryside, consuming them in seconds. Devoid from most games, this aspect of dragon design adds texture to Dragon Rage's design and flavor. In literature, dragons, specifically European ones, are tyrants, and that tyranny is present in the framing of Reign of Fire, where the player is presented with two campaigns. In one, they pilot mechanical vehicles as humanity's last attempt to strike the winged raptors from the sky. In the other, players put down the human rebellion with extreme prejudice and superior firepower, abetted on wings of dread, destroying everything and leaving the world a barren wasteland of sand and ash. In these three examples, the player experiences different aspects of dragon design and from the differing roles they embody in the mythos of our minds. Dragons would return to the position of terrifying boss with Monster Hunter and From Software's works throughout the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. Dark Eater Midir, Calamite, Plasudasax, Bale, and Caligo are all standout dragon duels. Each shows the true might of dragons, making them match the in-universe mythology established in each game. In Dark Souls, dragons had godlike power before the finding of the first flame, provided the Lords of Flame the power necessary to strip them of their stoned immortality and consign them to extinction. One of these, Midir, is enslaved, groomed from birth to consume and fight back against the darkness emanating from the Ring City. And here, the player can find one of the true best boss fights in gaming history, truly befitting the dragon moniker of the Dark Eater. Unlike the dragons in Skyrim, which are often momentary hurdles for the player to crest, almost annoying in abundance, Dark Eater Midir is a true challenge, lavishing the battlefield in a flood of flame. While flame is often associated with dragons, the breath weapons dragons have does change, as the ancient dragons in Elden Ring tamed the random, unpredictable destruction of lightning. Plasudasax and Bale perfectly demonstrate this with the way lightning, in all its unpredictable arcs, is levied against the player. In this way, From Software's dragons demonstrate the core conceit of their elemental affinities. This extends to the frigid fluency of Caligo, who utilizes ice and cold as her weapon in Elden Ring Night Rain. The crystalline lattice work of ice and snow is core to her design, with the way she sprays icicles at the player from several angles, ahead, above, and below. The versatility of dragons creates the futility of the player's resistance. Possibly because of how the bosses in Night Rain are designed for multiplayer sessions, Caligo does a better job at showing the raw power of dragons than any other designed by From Software. She is able to create massive AoEs, shroud herself in a frosty fog cloak, and attack from above with a free range of movement that only Plasudasax and Bale can match. In each of these From Software dragons, the grandiosity of the mythical monster is on display, adding to their deified, draconian, dynast dominance. Juxtaposing this to those within the Monster Hunter franchise, which are designed to be hunted over and over again, the scale of each's boss fight comes to the forefront. The dragons in Monster Hunter are iconic, even if they can't match the cinematic flair of From Software's. Gore Magala, Rathalos, Rathian, Jin-Dahad, Rayl, and Zoshia all demand devotion with their presence on the screen. While they are each relatively easy to learn, they all exhibit extreme creativity with their dragon design, both in terms of the way they look and the way they function. My favorites are definitely Rayl, Rathalos, and Jin-Dahad, which show off lightning, fire, and ice breath weapons in parallel to the From Software dragons previously mentioned. Interestingly, the raw mechanics of these breath weapons is vastly different. Rathalos use quick bursts of flame instead of the sustained streams Midir favors. Rayl turns his face into a cannon, channeling lightning from the tip of his tail, down his spine, and ending in a massive blast from his front. Jin-Dahad utilizes massive AoE attacks, just like Caligo. However, Jin-Dahad can freeze the player in place, which separates him from Caligo quite significantly. The duality of dragons as tyrannical Tarragon or steadfast Commandant to be commanded is best displayed in the Final Fantasy franchise. They are random encounters in various games, boss fights including the iconic Shinryu super boss, breedable companions and tactics, and summonable ally via Bahamut. As a series that often features dragons, has its roots in D&D, and has been around since 1986, Final Fantasy has been uniquely positioned to show off dragons from every single angle, adding to the overall dominance of them within the fantasy space. The malleability of the myth is what makes dragons so iconic and fun to see in everything that they appear. The appeal of dragons is timeless, clearly, and even though I'd love to see more manticores, sphinxes, and hydras, the inclusion of dragons in any capacity is something I always appreciate and look forward to. This has been by no means a comprehensive look at the way dragon design has shifted and changed over the course of gaming history. Several examples, such as From Software, Monster Hunter, and Final Fantasy, have dragon design histories worth looking into individually, and as such, this video is a massively abridged look at the history of dragons in the medium and how they've changed both in terms of complexity, theme, and scope over time. Whether they be controllable or challengeable, ally or adversary, dragons are beautiful monsters captivating our minds since the foundations of our legends and stories, and I doubt that's likely to change, nor would I want it to. And that's the video, my guys. What's your favorite video game dragon? Let's discuss draconic design in the comments below, and while you're down there, consider smashing that like button, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell. I make new gaming videos every Wednesday and Friday, and if you liked the video today, you may like my other and future work. Regardless of what you choose to do, thank you for keeping it real with Rayl Deal Games. Have an awesome day, my draconic dudes.